The automatic doors of the Nexus Prime Veterinary Clinic slid open with a soft hiss. Captain Taeho Kim stepped inside, carrying a large bundle wrapped in his ship's emergency blanket. Ow. The bundle was heavy and warm, and something inside it was. Breathing in short, painful gasps, the waiting room fell completely silent. 3 Calaxian merchants stopped their chittering conversation. Zen-3 trader's purple skin turned almost white. Even the small, floating maintenance bot in the corner stopped humming and dropped to the floor with a metallic clang. They could all smell it, the scent of a predator. Taeho walked to the front desk, his boots making the only sound in the room. Behind the curved counter sat a young Calaxian receptionist. Her forearms trembled as she reached for her communication device. "I need to see Dr. Velthar right away," Taeho said. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed worry. "My companion is hurt badly." The receptionist's large blue eyes stared at the bundle in his arms. What species is your companion, Captain Kim?" "It's from Earth. A dog. His name is Borum." The communication device slipped from her fingers and clattered on the desk. "A Terran predator," she whispered. "Here, in the clinic." The other patients in the waiting room began moving toward the exit. The Zen-3 trader knocked over a chair in his hurry to leave. The Calaxian merchants pressed themselves against the far wall. "Please," Taeho said. "He's been with me for 8 years. Saved my life many times. He's hurt, and I don't know what to do." Dr. Velthar emerged from the back room. He was a tall Calaxian with dark blue skin and silver markings around his eyes. He had been a veterinarian for 30 years and had treated creatures from hundreds of worlds. But when he saw what Taeho was carrying, he stopped walking. "No," Dr. Velthar said. "I cannot treat that creature." "But you're a doctor," Taeho replied. "You help sick animals." "Help animals, yes. Not apex predators. Not killing machines." Dr. Velthar backed away from the counter. "Do you know what that thing is capable of? Do you know how many creatures those beasts have killed throughout galactic history?" Taeho carefully adjusted his grip on the bundle. Inside, Borum whimpered. Softly. The sound made everyone in the room step back further. "He's not a killing machine," Taeho said. "He's my friend. He's gentle and kind. He's never hurt anyone who didn't try to hurt me first." Dr. Velthar laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Gentle, kind. Captain Kim, your databases are wrong. Or you are lying. That creature belongs to the most dangerous predator class in known space. Class 7, Apex Predator. Do you understand what that means?" The front doors opened again and Dr. Sujin Park walked in. She was a human xenobiologist who worked on the station, studying alien plant life. When she saw the scene in the waiting room, she quickly understood what was happening. "Dr. Velthar," she said, "I can vouch for this animal. I've seen him many. At times he's completely domesticated." "Domesticated," Dr. Velthar repeated the word slowly. "You cannot domesticate a creature designed to kill. It is impossible. It's like trying to domesticate a black hole or a solar flare." Sujin walked over to Taeho and looked at the bundle. "What happened to Borum?" "We were loading cargo on Deck 7, Taeho explained. "One of the support beams fell. Borum pushed me out of the way, but it hit him instead. I think his leg is broken. Maybe his ribs too." Biora made another soft sound. Dr. Velthar flinched as if the sound was a weapon being fired. "Read the reports," Dr. Velthar said. "These Terran predators hunt in packs. They track their prey for days. They have enhanced senses that let them find victims hiding anywhere. Their bite force can crush bone. Their speed lets them catch any fleeing creature." "Yes," Taeho said simply. "Borum can do all those things, but he chooses not to. That's what makes him special. Chooses not to." Dr. Velthar's translator made a strange buzzing sound as it tried to process the concept. Predators don't choose. They kill because that is their nature. Sujin stepped forward. "Dr. Velthar, may I show you something on my datapad?" The doctor nodded, though he kept his distance. Sujin activated a holographic display. It showed Bahram playing with human children on Earth. The dog was running and jumping, his tail wagging happily. The children were laughing and hugging him. "This is what humans call play," Sujin explained. Borum could easily hurt these small humans, but instead he protects them. He loves them. Dr. Velthar stared at the display. This must be some form of psychological manipulation. The predator is studying the young humans, learning their weaknesses. No, Teho said. He's just being happy. Dogs like to play. They like to be around people they care about. Possible. Dr. Velther said. Nothing in galactic science supports this theory. Apex predators do not form emotional bonds with their food. Breathing was getting weaker. Could feel his friend's body growing colder through the blanket. Please, Teho said again. Whatever you think he is. Right now, he's just a hurt animal who needs help. Isn't that what doctors do? Help those who are hurt. Dr. Velther looked around the empty waiting room. All his other patients had left. His receptionist had moved to the far corner of the room. Even the maintenance bot had rolled away to hide behind a plant. I cannot, Dr. Velther said finally. My insurance will not cover injuries from treating Class 7 predators. If that creature attacks me during treatment, who will pay for my medical bills? Who will support my family if I die? He won't attack you, Teho promised. How can you? Be certain? How can anyone be certain with a creature bred for killing? Teho was quiet for a moment. Then he carefully unwrapped part of the blanket, showing Bjorm's head. The dog was a medium-sized animal with brown and white fur. His eyes were closed, and his breathing was shallow. He looked nothing like the monster Dr. Velther had imagined. "'Cause I know him," Teho said softly. "I know his heart." Dr. Velther stared at the injured animal. For just a moment, he saw not a predator, but a creature in pain. Then his fear returned. "I'm sorry," Dr. Velther said. "I cannot help you. Perhaps you should try the veterinary clinic on the other side of the station." "I already tried," Teho replied. "They said the same thing. So did the clinic on Deck 12. Sujin touched Teho's shoulder. "There might be another option," she said quietly. "Someone told me about a place in the lower sections. It's not exactly legal, but ... double quotes. Dr. Velther heard her words. "You cannot be suggesting the underground clinics. Those places are dangerous. Unregulated. More dangerous than letting Bjorm die?" Teho asked. Dr. Velther had no answer for that question. Teho wrapped the blanket back around Bjorm and turned toward the door. "Thank you for your time, doctor." As the doors closed behind them, Dr. Velther stood alone in his empty clinic. For the first time in 30 years, he wondered if being afraid was the same thing as being right. 3 hours before Teho entered the veterinary clinic, Ambassador Ji-Won Lee sat in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council on the capital world of Zephoria Prime. The massive dome above her head showed the swirling colors of 3 different suns. Around her, representatives from 47 different species filled the curved seats that rose like steps toward the ceiling. She was tired. I guess it was the 5th emergency session this month, about humans and their animals. "The motion before us today," announced Speaker Vexdalen, his mechanical voice echoing through the chamber, "concerns the growing threat of Terran predatory companions traveling throughout our space." G1 stood up from her seat. Her blue diplomatic uniform felt heavy under the weight of so many staring eyes. Some of those eyes belonged to creatures that had never seen a human before today. "Honored Speaker," she said, "these are not threats. They are pets, family members, loyal friends." A wave of nervous sounds filled the chamber. Clicks, whistles, and growls that her translator turned into words of fear and disbelief. Counselor Thexela rose from his section. His purple tentacles moved in patterns that showed his distress. "Ambassador Lee, perhaps you do not understand the gravity of this situation. Let me show the council what we are discussing." The air above the center of the chamber shimmered. A 3-dimensional image appeared, showing a dog running across a field on Earth. To G1, it looked like a happy animal playing in the sunshine. To the alien representatives, it looked like something else entirely. "Observe the hunting stride," Thexler said. "Note the focused attention on potential prey. Watch how it uses its enhanced senses to track movement." The dog in the image was chasing a ball thrown by a human child, but the way Thexler described it made it sound like a hunt for food. "This creature can run at speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour, Thexler continued. "Its jaws can exert a bite force of over 200 pounds per square inch. Its hearing is 4 times more sensitive than most galactic species. Its sense of smell is 10,000 times stronger than that of humans. Murmurs of fear rippled through the chamber. Jiwan wanted to explain that these abilities made dogs wonderful companions, not dangerous weapons. But she could see that her words would not change their minds. Furthermore, Thexler added, our research shows that humans deliberately breed these creatures to enhance their predatory abilities. Different varieties are designed for different types of hunting. Some are built for speed, others for strength, still others for endurance. The image changed to show different breeds of dogs. A greyhound running, a mastiff standing guard, a bloodhound following a scent trail. Each image was described in terms of its killing potential. Representative Quindor, from the Peaceful Worlds Alliance, stood up. Her silver skin reflected the lights of the chamber as she spoke. Ambassador Lee, how do you explain the psychological bond between humans and these predators? Our scientists believe it represents a form of shared hunting instinct. Gi-won activated her own holographic display, showed a compilation of videos from Earth. Dogs helping rescue workers find people trapped after earthquakes. Guide dogs helping blind humans navigate busy streets. Therapy dogs visiting hospitals to comfort sick children. These animals save lives, Juan said. They help us in ways that have nothing to do with hunting or killing. The chamber fell silent as they watched the images. But instead of understanding, Gi-won saw more fear in their faces. Remarkable, whispered someone from the back of the chamber. The predators have trained the humans to depend on them completely. No, Gi-won said quickly. It's not like that. We work together because we care about each other. Tentacles writhed with what her translator identified as confusion. Care Ambassador, you are describing an emotional attachment between predator and prey. This is biologically impossible, but it's true, Ji-won insisted. Humans and dogs have lived together for thousands of years. We protect each other. We love each other. The word love caused an uproar in the chamber. Translators sparked and buzzed as they tried to process the concept of emotional bonds between different species, especially between predators and non-predators. Speaker Vextalon called for order. Ambassador Lee, the Council finds your claims difficult to accept. Perhaps you could provide more concrete evidence. G1 activated another set of images. These showed statistical data about dog behavior. Crime prevention rates in areas with police dogs. Success rates of search and rescue operations using canine units. Medical studies showing how therapy dogs reduced stress and improved healing in hospital patients. These numbers prove that dogs make our society safer and healthier, she said. But Representative Zalmora, from the Cautious Collective, had a different interpretation. These statistics show how effectively the predators have infiltrated human society. They have made themselves indispensable. This is advanced parasitic behavior. Gi-won felt her frustration growing. Every piece of evidence she presented was being twisted to support their fears. What about cats? Asked Counselor Morgeth from the Feline Defense League. Yes. His species looked somewhat like Earth cats, but larger and with blue fur. Our intelligence reports suggest humans also keep smaller Terran predators in their homes. The chamber's display showed footage of house cats, cats playing with toys, sleeping in sunny windows, purring while being petted by their owners. Felines are perhaps even more dangerous, Morgeth continued. They are stealth hunters, silent killers. And humans allow them free access to their homes, their children, their sleeping areas. They're just cats, Jiwon said weakly. They catch mice. They're affectionate. They purr. Purring is a form of psychological warfare, declared Dr. Yixnell, the Council's expert on predator behavior. The vibrations are designed to lower the guard of potential prey. The fact that humans find this sound pleasant proves how completely they have been manipulated. Gi-won realized that nothing she said would convince them. In their minds, every positive trait of dogs and cats was reinterpreted as a predatory tactic. Meanwhile, in another part of the galaxy, cargo hauler Jin Ho-song was having his own problems. He stood in the docking bay of Port Celestial, arguing with the dockmaster about his cargo manifest. "I'm sorry, Captain Song," the Altarian dockmaster said. "Your manifest lists a Terran feline as cargo. We cannot allow Class 7 predators in our port. She's just a cat," Jinho said. "Her name is Nari. She keeps the rats away from my food supplies." The dockmaster's forearms waved in alarm. Rats, you have rats on your ship too? How many predatory species are you transporting? Rats aren't predators, Jinho explained. They're pests. Nari hunts them to protect my cargo. A predator. That hunts other creatures for sport, the dockmaster said. Even worse than we thought. Ginho sighed. This was the third port this week that had refused him docking privileges because of Nay-RI back on Zephyria Prime. The council session was ending badly for humanity. The motion is approved, Speaker Vextelen announced. All Terran predatory companions must be registered with galactic authorities. Their movement will be restricted to emergency routes only. Ports have the right to refuse docking to any vessel carrying Class 7 or higher predators. Giwan slumped in her seat. She had failed to make them understand. In trying to protect humanity's right to travel with their beloved pets, she had instead convinced them that humans were either victims of an elaborate deception or willing partners in a predatory conspiracy. As the representatives filed out of the chamber, she heard fragments of their conversations, words like dangerous, unpredictable, and threat to galactic peace. She activated her communication device and sent a message to Earth. Negotiations failed. Recommend all humans with animal companions avoid major trade routes until further notice. Far away on Nexus Prime, Teho carried his injured dog toward the lower levels of the station, unaware that the very animal he loved was at the center of a galactic crisis that was about to change everything. The lower levels of Nexus Prime were different from the clean, bright upper sections. Here the walls were darker metal and the lights flickered sometimes. The air smelled of recycled oxygen and machine oil. People who came to the lower levels usually had business they didn't want others to know about. Teho followed Sujin through narrow corridors, still carrying Bioram in his arms. The dog's breathing had gotten worse during their long walk down from level 7. His body felt too warm, and sometimes he would whimper in his sleep. "Are you sure about this place?" Teho asked. "I'm sure," Sujin replied. "A friend told me about it last month. She said the doctor there helps anyone, no matter what species they are." They stopped in front of a door marked only with numbers 3847. There was no sign saying it was a medical clinic. Sujin pressed the buzzer and waited. The door opened to show a human woman in a white coat. She was about 40 years old with short black hair and kind eyes. When she saw Baram in Teho's arms, she immediately stepped aside to let them enter. Dr. Haijin Choi, she said. "Bring him this way quickly." The clinic was small, but clean. It looked like any normal veterinary office, except for the patients. In one corner, a creature that looked like living crystal hummed softly to itself. Its body reflected the room's lights in rainbow patterns. In another area, something that might have been a plant or an animal swayed gently, its purple leaves, making quiet rustling sounds. "Most interesting clinic I've seen," Sujin whispered. Dr. Choi heard her. "I treat the patients that other doctors won't touch," she explained as she cleared space on an examination table. "The crystalline mantis over there was refused treatment at 6 different clinics. They said his species was too volatile. The singing willow was turned away because no one could figure out if it was a plant or an animal." Bioram on the table. Dr. Choi immediately began examining the dog, her hands gentle but efficient. "What happened to him?" she asked. "Support beam fell during cargo loading," Teho explained. "He pushed me out of the way." Dr. Choi nodded as she felt along Bioram's ribs. "Broken leg, definitely. Maybe 2 ribs cracked. Some internal bruising. He'll be okay, but he needs surgery soon. The other doctors wouldn't help," Sujin said. "They said he was too dangerous." Dr. Choi laughed, but not in a mean way. "Dangerous? This sweet boy?" She scratched behind Bjorn's ears and he made a soft sound of contentment, even in his sleep. "I've been working with Earth animals for 15 years. They're among the gentlest patients I've ever treated." 15 years? Teho was surprised. "How long have you been running this clinic?" 8 years here on Nexus Prime," Dr. Choi replied, as she prepared medical equipment. "But I've been part of the Sanctuary Corps for much longer." "Sanctuary Corps?" Sujin asked. Dr. Choi began setting up an IV line for BORM. "We're a network of human medical professionals scattered throughout the galaxy. We provide care for species that mainstream galactic medicine has abandoned." Actors? Veterinarians. nurses, medics. All humans who believe that every living being deserves medical treatment. She pointed to a wall covered with photographs. Taeho could see images of human doctors working with strange alien creatures on dozens of different worlds. Dr. Min-Soo Yang runs a clinic on Kepler Station, Dr. Choi said. He specializes in silicon-based life forms. Dr. Soo-Young Kim works in the Outer Rim, treating energy beings that most doctors can't even see properly. Dr. Woojin Pak has a mobile clinic that follows the trade routes, helping cargo haulers and their animal companions. Why do you do this? Taeho asked. It must be dangerous working illegally. Dr. Choi was quiet for a moment as she adjusted the four. When I first left Earth, I thought galactic medicine would be amazing. So many species, so much knowledge too. Share. But I found out that fear rules everything here. If a species has claws, they won't treat it. If it has fangs, it's automatically dangerous. If it's a predator, it's evil. She moved to a cabinet and began taking out surgical supplies. But humans know better. We've lived with predators for thousands of years. We know that having sharp teeth doesn't make you evil. We know that being strong doesn't make you cruel. Door chimed, and another person entered. This was a human man in a security uniform. Taeho tensed, thinking they were in trouble, but Dr. Choi smiled at the newcomer. Officer Kyung-ho Bae, she said, "You're early today. I brought someone who needs help," Officer Bae said. He was carrying a small cage with something moving inside. Found her in the cargo bay. Looks like she's been abandoned. He opened the cage and lifted out a small earth cat. She was orange and white, very thin and obviously scared. Poor little one, Dr. Choi said, taking the cat gently. Probably belonged to a trader who got refused docking privileges somewhere. This happens often? Soo-jin asked. Officer Bae nodded sadly. More and more lately. Humans are forced to choose between their animals and their livelihoods. Some make terrible choices. But your security, Taeho said. Aren't you supposed to shut down illegal clinics? Officer Bae looked uncomfortable.
Practically, yes.
But Dr. Choi isn't hurting anyone. She's helping creatures that no one else will help. Sometimes doing the right thing and following the rules aren't the same thing. Dr. Choi had finished preparing for surgery. I need to operate on your dog. Now, she told Taeho. It will take about 2 hours. You can wait here if you want. As she worked, Dr. Choi talked about the other clinics in the network. There were dozens of them, hidden throughout the galaxy. Some were on space stations like this one. Others were on remote planets or aboard traveling ships. All run by humans who refuse to accept that medical care should depend on how dangerous a patient looked. The galaxy's medical system is built on fear, she said as she worked on Bo-Arm's broken leg. They only treat herbivores and energy-based life forms. Anything with natural weapons gets classified as untreatable. But that's not fair, Soo-jin said. No, it's not, Dr. Choi agreed. That's why we exist. We believe that needing medical care is more important than having claws or fangs. During the surgery, more patients arrived. Thorian Trader brought in his companion, a creature that looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird. 3 vegan refugees carried in an injured animal that resembled a large, fluffy spider. None of the regular clinics will see them, Officer Bae explained quietly to Taeho. It's too exotic, too dangerous, too alien. Dr. Choi is their only hope. As Taeho watched Dr. Choi work, he realized something important. She wasn't just saving animals. She was proving that fear didn't have to control medical decisions. She was showing that compassion could be stronger than prejudice. Surgery's done, Dr. Choi announced. Barham will need to rest for a few days, but he's going to be fine. Taeho felt relief wash over him. His friend would be okay. How much do I owe you? He asked. Dr. Choi shook her head. Sanctuary Corps doesn't charge fees. We do this because it's right, not for profit. Then how do you keep the clinic running? Donations from grateful patients, Officer Bae said. People like you who want to help us, help others. As Boyam slept peacefully on the recovery table, Taeho made a decision. When this was over, he would help spread the word about the Sanctuary Corps. Other humans needed to know that there were doctors out here who understood that love was stronger than fear. Outside the clinic, station alarms began to sound. Something was happening on Nexus Prime, something that would soon test everything they believed about predators and heroes. The alarm bells echoed through every level of Nexus Prime. Red lights flashed in the corridors and automated voices announced the emergency in 12 different languages. In Dr. Choi's clinic, the patients stirred nervously at the sounds. What's happening? Taeho asked, looking up from where he sat beside Bjorm's recovery table. Officer Bay was already speaking into his communication device. This is Bay. What's the situation? He listened for a moment, his face growing serious. How many trapped? Where? He turned to the others. Chemical leak in Section C of the lower levels. Toxic gas is spreading fast. Emergency barriers have sealed the area, but there are 43 beings trapped inside. Can't the rescue teams get them out? Sujin asked. The gas is deadly to most species, Officer Bay explained. Our equipment can't function in that environment either. The electronic systems shut down when they hit the contamination zone. Dr. Choi stopped working with her current patient, a small creature with silver fur. How long do the trapped people have? Maybe 3 hours before the gas reaches lethal levels, Officer Bay said grimly. Command is trying everything, but nothing's working. On his table, Bjorm stirred and opened his eyes. Despite his injuries, he tried to sit up when he heard the alarm sounds. Easy boy, Taeho said, gently keeping him lying down. You need to rest. But Bjorm was alert now, his ears up and his nose twitching. Even injured, his senses were telling him something was wrong. Officer Bay's communication device crackled again. All available personnel report to emergency stations. This is not a drill. I have to go, he told Dr. Choi. Keep everyone here safe. As he reached the door, it opened to admit someone unexpected. Station Commander Dalmuth, a tall Zeronian with gray skin and 3 eyes, stepped into the clinic. Behind him came the security officers. Commander, Officer Bay said, surprised. What brings you to the lower levels? Commander Dalmuth looked around the clinic, taking in the strange mix of patients and the human medical equipment. I'm looking for solutions, Officer Bay. Conventional rescue methods aren't working. His middle eye focused on Bjorm, who was now sitting up despite Taeho's efforts to keep him lying down. Is that a Terran predator? His name is Bjorm Taeho. Said carefully, he's my companion. I've heard about these creatures, Commander Dalmuth said. Enhanced senses, yes? They can detect things that our equipment cannot? Yes, sir, Taeho replied. Dogs have much better hearing and smell than most species. Commander Dalmuth was quiet for a moment, his 3 eyes studying Bjorm. Captain Kim, I have a proposition. Our rescue teams cannot penetrate the contaminated zone. Our robots fail when they enter the toxic area. We need something that can navigate by senses alone. Taeho understood what he was suggesting. You want Bjorm to help with the rescue? He's injured, Dr. Choi protested. You shouldn't be doing anything strenuous. 43 lives hang in the balance, Commander Dalmuth said. If there's any chance this predator can help locate the trapped beings. He's not a predator, Taeho said firmly. He's a rescue dog. It's what he was trained to do on Earth. This seemed to confuse Commander Dalmuth. Trained to rescue? But our databases say these creatures are designed for hunting. The same abilities that make dogs good hunters also make them good at finding people, Sujin explained. Humans have used dogs for search and rescue for centuries. Bjorm whimpered and tried to stand. Despite his bandaged leg and the pain medication, something was driving him to move. He knows people are in trouble, Taeho said. Even hurt like this, he wants to help. Dr. Choi checked Bjorm's bandages and foreline. If he's going to do this, I'm coming too. He needs medical monitoring. Commander Dalmuth nodded. Acceptable. What do you need? 20 minutes later, they stood at the entrance to Section C. The area beyond the emergency barriers was filled with a yellowish gas that made the air shimmer like heat waves. The trapped beings were somewhere in that maze of corridors and rooms, and conventional rescue equipment had already failed 3 times. Songwoo Park. The station's chief of rescue operations met them at the barrier. He was a human who had worked on Nexus Prime for 5 years, but this was the first time he had been asked to use an Earth animal in a rescue operation. The gas won't hurt him? Sang-woo asked, looking down at Bioram. Earth dogs have strong resistance to many toxins, Doctor, Choi explained. And I've given him protective medication. He should be fine for at least an hour. Bioram stood ready, his tail wagging slowly, despite his injuries. Special harness held a small camera and communication device, so the rescue team could see what he saw and guide him from outside the danger zone. Okay, boy, Taeho said, kneeling beside his companion. Find them. Find the people who need help. The barrier opened, and Boram limped into the toxic zone. On the monitors outside, the rescue team watched through his camera as he made his way. Through the contaminated corridors, his movement is slow because of the injury, Sang-woo observed. But look how focused he is, Taeho replied. He's tracking scents, listening for sounds. He knows exactly what he's doing. On the screen, they could see Boram stop at intersections, sniffing the air before choosing which direction to go. The gas that blocked electronic sensors meant nothing. To his nose, there Dr. Choi pointed at the monitor. He's found something. Bioram had stopped in front of a sealed door. It was pawing at it and barking softly. Life signs confirmed in that room, Sang-woo reported, checking his instruments. 17 beings, mostly Calaxian children. The rescue team quickly deployed their equipment to the location Bioram had found, because they knew exactly where to go. They could get the trapped children out safely. Moving to next search area, Sang-woo announced, Bioram continued through the gas-filled corridors. His breathing was labored now, and he moved more slowly, but he didn't stop working. Over the next hour, he located 3 more groups of trapped beings. Last group should be in the central area, Commander Dalmuth said. But that's where the gas is thickest. On the monitor, they watched Bioram struggle through the dense yellow fog. His camera showed almost nothing, but his nose and ears were still working. There, Taeho said. He's found them. Boram had discovered the largest group, 12 adults trapped in what had been the section's main meeting room. But as the rescue teams moved in, Bioram collapsed. Get him out of there, Dr. Choi ordered. The rescue team brought Bioram back to the safe zone. He was unconscious, his breathing shallow. It's too much gas exposure, Dr. Choi said as she worked on him. But he'll be okay. Get everyone out first. Commander Dalmuth watched the final rescue operations with amazement. Boram had located all 43 trapped beings. Every single life was saved. I don't understand, he said to Taeho. Your companion risked his life for beings he had never met. Beings of different species. Why? Taeho stroked Boyam's fur as Dr. Choi continued treating him, because that's what good dogs do. They help people, all people, as word of the rescue. Spread through the station, something began to change. The same beings who had feared Earth's predators now owed their lives to one. The creature they had called a monster had proven to be a hero. In the medical bay, as Bioram slowly woke up from his ordeal, he was surrounded by the beings he had saved. Calaxian children, Zeronian adults, Altarian traders, all species that had once feared dogs, now wanted to meet the brave animal who had rescued them. Perhaps Commander Dalmuth said quietly, our understanding of these Terran predators needs to be reconsidered. 2 days after the rescue, Dr. Velthar stood outside Docking Bay 12, holding his medical bag with all 4 hands. His blue skin had turned pale with nervousness, and his translator kept making small buzzing sounds as he practiced what he wanted to say. Through the observation window, he could see Taeho's cargo ship. Somewhere inside that ship was the creature he had refused to treat. The same creature that had saved 43 lives. For 2 days, the rescue had been the only thing people talked about on Nexus Prime. The story spread from the news broadcasts to the markets to the residential areas. Everyone knew about the injured Earth dog that had risked his life to find trapped people. Dr. Velthar had watched the recordings over and over. He saw Boram limping through toxic gas, using his senses to locate people who would have died without his help. He saw the dog collapse from exhaustion after finding the last group of survivors. The door to the docking bay opened, and Taeho emerged, carrying supplies from the station market. When he saw Dr. Velthar waiting for him, he stopped walking. Doctor, Taeho said carefully. Is there something I can help you with? Dr. Velthar's translator buzzed as he tried to find the right words. Captain Kim, I have come to apologize and to ask if I might examine your companion. To learn proper treatment protocols, Teho studied the Calaxian doctor's face. You want to treat Earth animals now? I want to learn how to treat heroes? Dr. Velthar replied quietly. Inside the ship, BRM was resting in his favorite spot, near the navigation console. His leg was still bandaged, but his breathing was strong and his eyes were bright. When he saw Dr. Velthar enter, he wagged his tail slowly. He doesn't hold grudges, Teho explained, seeing the doctor's nervous expression. Dr. Velthar approached. Carefully, may I examine him? For the next hour, Dr. Velthar performed the most thorough examination of his career. He checked Bjorm's healing injuries, studied his anatomy, and marveled at the senses that had saved so many lives. His hearing really is 4 times more sensitive than mine, Dr. Velthar said in wonder, and his sense of smell. No wonder he could find people through toxic gas. Those abilities could be used for hunting, Teho agreed. But Bjorm chooses to use them for helping instead. Dr. Velthar had been thinking about that word. Choose for 2 days. I'm beginning to understand. Having the ability to harm doesn't mean you will harm, exactly, Teho said. True strength comes from knowing when not to use your power. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chambers on Zephyria Prime, Ambassador Ji-Wan Lee sat in an emergency. A session that was very different from the one held just days before. The rescue on Nexus Prime had been broadcast across the galaxy, and everything had changed. The motion before us today, announced Speaker Vextalon, concerns the establishment of a new medical exchange program with Earth. Counselor Thexala stood up, his purple tentacles moving in patterns that showed curiosity rather than fear. Ambassador Lee, we have reviewed the footage from Nexus Prime. We would like to understand how humans have achieved such cooperation with predatory species. G1 felt hope for the first time in months. Honored counselors, we don't see them as predatory species. We see them as partners. Partners, repeated Representative Quinder. This concept is new to us. How does one form partnerships with creatures capable of violence? The same way we form partnerships with each other, G1 replied. Through trust, respect, and mutual care. Every intelligent species is capable of violence. What matters is choosing not to use it. The chamber was quiet as they considered. This idea the Galactic Medical Association has prepared a formal request, Speaker Vextalon announced. They wish to establish exchange programs with human medical professionals. They want to learn treatment methods for species they have previously classified as untreatable. On Nexus Prime, Dr. Haijin Choi received the news in her clinic. Bei brought her an official communication from the Galactic Medical Board. They want to make your clinic legal, he told her. More than that, they want you to head a new interspecies medical center.
Ow.
Dr. Choi looked around at her patients. The crystalline mantis was humming happily as his injuries healed. The singing. Willow had grown new purple leaves. Dozens of other creatures that had been refused treatment elsewhere were now healthy and safe. What about the other sanctuary course clinics? She asked. They're all being offered official recognition, Officer Bei said. The galaxy wants to learn from human medical practices. Across the galaxy, the change was happening everywhere. Ginho, Song the cargo hauler, who had been refused docking privileges because of his cat Nari, received an apology from Port Celestial. They invited him to return with his feline companion, who is now being called a valuable rodent control specialist. On Kepler Station, Dr. Minsu Yang found himself overwhelmed with requests from alien doctors wanting to learn how to treat silicon-based life forms. His underground clinic became the galaxy's first official Silicon Life Medical Center. Dr. Wujin. Pax Mobile Clinic was given official trade route status, allowing him to travel freely throughout galactic space to help animals and their human companions. Back on Nexus Prime, word of the changes reached Dr. Velthar as he continued learning. About Earth animals, Teho had introduced him to 3 other humans on the station who had pets, and he was amazed by the variety of human-animal relationships. Each bond is different, he observed, watching a human child play with a small rabbit. But all are based on affection rather than fear. That's what makes us different, Teho agreed. We learned thousands of years ago that friendship is stronger than fear. The news broadcasts were full of stories about changing attitudes toward Earth animals. Alien children who had once run from dogs were now asking their parents if they could meet one. Scientists were studying human-animal bonds to understand how different species could cooperate. So, effectively, on the anniversary of the rescue, Nexus Prime held a ceremony to honor Biorum and the other Earth animals on the station. Commander Dalmoth presented Biorum with the Station Medal of Valor. It's the first time it had ever been awarded to a non-sentient being. This medal honors not just one brave dog, Commander Dalmoth announced, but all the Earth creatures who have shown us that being powerful doesn't mean being cruel. Biorum sat patiently during the ceremony, his tail wagging as hundreds of beings from dozens of species applauded him. Children from many different worlds came forward to pet him gently. No longer afraid of the apex predator, Dr. Velthor was there too, now the station's official specialist in Earth animal medicine. He had studied with Dr. Choi for 3 months and could now treat dogs, cats, rabbits, and even the exotic birds that some traders kept as companions. I was so wrong, he told Taeho during the ceremony. I thought predator meant monster. I learned that the greatest predators are often the greatest protectors. After the ceremony, as the crowd dispersed, Taeho and Biorum walked through the station's park.
Ow.
Children of many species were playing together, some with their Earth animal companions. Dogs chased balls while alien youngsters laughed. Cats napped in sunny spots while various species of children read books nearby. Look at that boy, Taeho said to Biorum. Not so long ago, they were afraid of you. They can't imagine life without dogs and cats around. Biorum wagged his tail and licked a small Calaxian child who had come over to say hello. The child giggled and hugged the dog carefully, mindful of his old injuries. Mama, the child called to her parent, can we get a dog too? The adult Calaxian, who would have been terrified by the idea just months ago, smiled and nodded. Well, see, little one. We'll see. As the sun set over Nexus Prime, Taeho reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy had learned that strength without cruelty was possible. They had discovered that the capacity for violence and the capacity for love could exist in the same heart. Most importantly, they had realized that true apex predators weren't those who killed the most, but those who chose when not to kill it. Biorum, the dog who had once been refused medical treatment for being too dangerous, become a symbol of hope and friendship throughout the galaxy. He had shown an entire civilization that being powerful meant being responsible for protecting others. And in veterinary clinics across the galaxy, doctors who had once turned away Earth animals now welcomed them with open arms, finally understanding that the greatest predators could also be the gentlest healers.